What up, y'all? Back at you one more time with a sit down with Mark. This time I had the chance to interview Tim Mckain of McCain Entertainment Network. Man, a sports commentator. Man, he's done sports, he's done entertainment, he's done a couple informational things, interviewing nurses, interviewing school teachers, entrepreneurs. He's done it all. Listen, I learned a lot. Hope y'all like this interview. Ask y'all to please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Ask y'all to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what y'all think. Anybody want to be interviewed, DM me. Hit me up on Facebook Messenger. I'm here. Mr. McCain, thank you for doing the sit down with Mark. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, brother.
I'm not going to keep you long, Doc. I'm going to get right to it. First question. Tell me about yourself and when did you realize you wanted to work in the sports industry?
My name is Timothy McCain. I'm a sports reporter, marketer, and I fell in love with sports reporting or just sports in general since I was a kid. I was a Los Angeles Laker fan back in '01 when Shaq and Kobe did that thing. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a Laker fan, and then when Shaq went to Miami, I became a Heat fan, and I just love the game. But what made me get into sports reporting was I actually was a camera person for UNCG. And so they had this program called ESPN3, and we would shoot all the UNCG men's basketball, women's basketball games. I even got hit up. I got a ball hit right in my chest. The softball hit right in my chest while I was filming. Another ball hit my head, almost hit my head. I ducked it. I had a couple athletes run right into me in live games. And I guess for me, seeing the action, the passion of all those athletes, meeting some, like, I was like 5 feet away from Roy Williams. You know what I mean? I met Danny Manning, the great Danny Manning from Kansas. And I actually had a buddy of mine at the time. His name was Isaiah St. Hilaire. And he said, man, you know, when we talk about sports, man, the chemistry is there, man. Like, we're doing our thing. We should start a podcast. And this was in 2018. And I was like, okay, cool. So we called it the INT Sports Show. And we were talking about the New York Giants, which was his team, and the Dallas Cowboys, which was my team. We were talking about different things and whatnot. And I remember he was telling me that his parents, they saw me talk about sports. And they're like, yo, whoever that guy is, he's a natural. And that gave me so much confidence. And so when we stopped doing the podcast, I continued to do my own thing. And I went through so much trouble of trying to edit it and stuff like that. But I did a couple podcasts here and there. And then I started, after graduating college, I started to, instead of just doing videos, I started to do it on my phone with this Anchor app, just talking about sports, basketball, women's sports, boxing, MMA, all that. Then I got back in touch with my good friend Tamani Johnson, and we decided that we were going to travel to HBCU schools and just advertise some of the sports over there. So we started interviewing head coaches, players. It was amazing. And then I got in touch with a radio show on 105.1 Live. Shout out to Scoop Born Love. He gave me the opportunity to be on the radio show. We had in the morning, I think it was like 5 o'clock in the morning. It was like 5 to 8 or something like that, or 6. No, it was 6. It was 6 to 9 in the morning that we did it. And so, I mean, that's really where it all began, man. Just grinding it out and just doing something that I care about and I love.
That's what's up. Doc, how do you find new and used sports story ideas?
Ooh, that's a good question.
New and unique sports story ideas.
So I definitely have had a fair share of ideas. I've had shows like Believe in HBCUs with the Believe podcast. I've had the Fight Game with Tim Mckain. Let's Talk Sports with Tim McCain. What else have I had? I've had Sports Trap with Derek Hall. And then I had the Sports Cycle with myself. I don't know, man. It's just, honestly, there's always, to me, okay, to be honest with you, I'm an underdog. I consider myself an underdog, and so a lot of the sports that I cover, um, they're not always respected like they should be. Like I'll give you a case in point. HBCUs. HBCUs are not recognized. Were not recognized the way that they should have been. So I was like, all right, we're gonna go to the HBCUs and we're gonna cover them. I wanted to cover women's sports because, especially women's basketball, because I had a passion for women's basketball. So I wanted to cover women's basketball. So that's what I did. And then right now, my main pool is MMA world. And I'm really a boxing fan. That's what I love. I like MMA a lot. I do. I've grown to like it. To me, I love the people in MMA. I enjoy the fight game. I watch the fight game. I'm studying the fight game, but I'm really a boxing fan starting out. And so I wanted to interview boxers, but then I discovered like there's not a lot of people covering mixed martial arts, especially in here in this local area. There was a professional fighter who I interviewed last year, and he said, "You're the first brother that interviewed me, and I've been a professional for like 3 years." And so to me, there's just so many different ways to be innovative, and I'm learning to be innovative. I think the next thing that I want to do is I want to cover baseball. You know, the baseball used to be the brother man sport. You know, and shout out to Rob Parker from MLB Bro. They're doing some things over there. That's something that I want to do next. Baseball. So I want to do basketball, baseball, more mixed martial arts, learning more about mixed martial arts. But it's always about new opportunities and new things. There's always something there to be found and discovered, and that's what I like to find.
Uh, we have all worked with people with different personalities.
Mm-hmm.
Time when you had to work with someone that had a different personality from you.
Uh, Derek Hall, uh, good brother. We disagreed on everything, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm a debater at heart. Really, I am. Matter of fact, to be honest with you, I think I'm actually a better debater. I actually work better with someone um, disagreeing with me than just me being by myself, just talking about sports. It's just something about having somebody who disagrees with you on everything, but we flow together. I definitely would want to, keep in touch with Derek. I haven't kept in touch with Derek like I should, but when we had the shows together, I mean, it just worked because we had two varying different but belief systems in terms of sports. Him being the athlete and me being the sports reporter. It's almost like the full black version of Skip and Shannon.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it was dope. And I really appreciated Derek for that because he was riding with me, man. He was a guy who honestly, I wasn't. When you do this, you don't get paid. Like you have to pay to make the videos, to edit the videos, to shoot locations and all these things. It takes time to make connections and all this. Derek was he was going to ride with me, but I wanted to go a different direction with the sports cycle. I wanted him to come on with me. Unfortunately, it didn't go that way. But I got much love for Derek Hall, and he's a good brother.
Failure is definitely a part of life. We both had highs and lows in life, and it's just a part of life. Talk about a time where you failed at something, and how did you react?
Hmm. Okay. So the the first thing that stands out to me is in the sports world actually is you see I'm a reporter, I'm an interviewer. I do some stuff, but like I can do some public speaking, but I gotta practice it.
Right.
And shout out to Daniel Edward from Trifecta Boxing Gym. He's actually a former professional boxer, the Haitian sensation. He actually had me. He wanted me to become an announcer to his boxing event, And man, oh man, I got up there. I didn't practice a lick. I didn't even know what to do. So I went up there and I straight made a fool. I said, do I go now? Do I go now? And everybody like, oh my God, what's wrong with this brother? Yeah. And so I think what I learned from that was, one, you always have to be confident in what you do, but you also need to stay in your lane. You need to know what your lane is. And maybe in the future, announcing might be for me, but at that moment, it wasn't. And so what I ended up doing was I became somewhat of like a person who was like helping run the show. Daniel was the show. Daniel was the guy who was running it, but I was somebody who would. What I ended up doing was we flipped it. So instead of me being an announcer, what I ended up doing was I helped the athletes in terms of getting gloves. I helped make sure that everybody was their weights were taken care of. I also helped set up matches for the fighters, because when you're in the fight game, sometimes fighters don't show up, and so I became a bit of a matchmaker. So I helped. I became, instead of I used that failure as an announcer, and I totally failed, and I became semi of a matchmaker, helping Daniel run the show. And he had great shows. You got to go yourself. Trifecta Fight Nights. I'm not sure when the next one is, but the last one that we did, what I did was I hired some people to not only shoot it, but I hired some people to do like a little show on it. So we interviewed the fighters, we took pictures, and he was great. He talked about all the fight events and all that, and so that's kind of like what I did in response to that epic failure that I had.
Last question for anyone wanting to get in the sports industry. What advice or motivational words can you give them?
Keep going.
This is definitely a tough field.
I say keep going. And in business, rejection is inevitable, but you can't allow someone's no to dampen what you want to do. So what if you hear a no? There was and I'm not going to say the name of the school. I'm not going to say the name of the person, but I went to this HBCU and I asked them if I could cover some of the sports. And he said, no, absolutely not. You're not big enough. You're not big enough. And I was like, man, HBCU sports, they don't get covered enough. I'm trying to be a sports reporter covering HBCUs because it's not covered enough, and they won't let me. So turn around, 3 months later, I actually, because of my connections with my alma mater, Go Spartans, I ended up going to that HBCU actually went to UNCG for the first game of the season. And I sat right next to the guy who said no to me. The same guy who said that I could not cover the same sports. I shook his hand and I said, glad to see you, sir.
Right.
Glad to see you. I was in the same spot that he was at, and he told me no. So I say, doesn't matter about the no's. You keep working. You keep pushing. You don't allow anyone to, especially if you're good at it, especially if you know you're talented at it, if you have a gift for it. Now, if you don't have a gift for it, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you can't sing, you don't need to go to American Idol. You just don't. Don't do it. Don't do it. You know what I mean? If you don't know how to fight, don't try MMA unless you practice first. Don't go in there and just say, oh, I'm going to beat the best fighter, and then get your head knocked up. You know what I'm saying? You're going to get beat. You know, so it's like, know what you're good at. Be confident in who you are. Trust God and follow the process.
Yes, sir. That's what's up. Mr. McCain, thank you for your time.